Well, good morning and welcome back to the show. It's Conversations, the business, health, and community news show. Today we continue to tell the story of Dr. Mark Whitaker, Portsmouth City Councilman who is seeking re-election. We want to thank everyone for tuning in to part one last weekend, and we ask you to stay tuned as Dr. Mark Whitaker speaks. Dr. Whitaker, let's talk about the trial. You mentioned that you are not deterred or discouraged by the trial and what happened. What were you thinking in the middle of the trial when all of this information was coming through? Even the contractor who said he did not sign. You got a jury of your peers who found you guilty of some of those charges. Talk about the trial and the mindset of Dr. Mark Whitaker in the midst of that.
In the midst of the trial, I knew even before the trial that there was no evidence there to support any finding of guilt. I knew that before the trial because I knew that we had not done what the Commonwealth's Attorney's Office was saying that had taken place. There was no forgery. There was no utterance of checks, which the judge threw out the 17 charges. As I sat there, and it's interesting, the media has not touched this. As I sat there and listened to the identity fraud issue, I noticed the media has not discussed the fact that the sheriff's investigator who charged and brought up and argued, and the prosecutor who argues identity theft, what the people may not know is that they created a Social Security number. There were 10 numbers on that application that they said we use someone's Social Security number. I think a Social Security number is 9 digits. On the application that they said for identity fraud, it was 10. What they did was they removed one of the numbers and made it a 9-digit Social Security number. And they took the number from the middle to do it. So they were purposefully doing that. I noticed the media, I mentioned it, Andy Fox, I said, I noticed you haven't covered that. You see? And so that whole process, the whole credibility of it, they were so focused on trying to criminalize me, to get my voice off of city council, and more importantly, to label me as a felon so that the black community would abandon me. That's what they're trying to do. It's always to try to take your base away from you. And as I sat there listening to this, having already been informed by my attorney of the dynamics of a jury, I was not surprised when they came back with the guilty verdict on those 3. And then to later find out from a very reliable source that the African American jurors initially came to the back when they were discussing, and they said not guilty. The 6 white jurors said guilty. And so what they did, they compromised. Particularly the black jurors took the compromise of the white jurors. That is, the white jurors told them that, well, we're going to be here all day. It's going to be a hung jury. We don't want to be. So we will not give him jail time. It'll just be a fine. And so the black jurors agreed to it, thinking that that's okay as long as he doesn't get any jail time.
But you would be a felon.
But I would be a felon. But that's why we need to educate our community on the importance of, number one, serving on juries, and then how do we serve on a jury. And so I knew they had already pre-discussed it, because when they had to go back for the penalty amount, they weren't even back there a minute before they came back with the amount, because they had already compromised on it. And so that's why I say I'm standing in the line of those who have been wrongfully convicted, because I know, first of all, the evidence didn't match it. Secondly, I know that I didn't do what they said I did. People who know me and have known me over the years, I've always worked hard, even with basketball and my academics. And if you think about this whole thing, what they're saying we did, that was our credit union. We wouldn't have to. How are we uttering from our own credit union? How are we forging in our own credit union? And the members have signed the checks, you see. But it was a well-orchestrated and well-designed malicious prosecution, and they played on the mentality of our people in getting this done. I'm hoping our community will wake up and see that an injustice against me has been done to try to silence my voice, because you will know immediately after I was suspended, the next meeting, the city council voted to move $5 million from the school board's budget. And that's what it's all about, the economics. And they know that I'm a voice that speaks to those things.
Tell me, what is a normal day like in the cottage? What do you guys do? Tell me, go through a whole day.
We gotta get up and we gotta do our chores, like we gotta clean the whole house before we go to school.
I have the front sitting room, and I don't like the bathrooms or the kitchen because it's nasty.
First thing, when we get off the bus, she'll tell us to put our book bags down. We'll get a snack, come back outside, ride bikes, toss football, play with the other cottages.
We like to play baseball and football, and we sometimes like climb the trees and dodgeball.
We'll come in, do study hall, and then we'll have 2 people help make dinner while everybody else is doing Xbox or computer and Wii. And after that, the people who help with dinner get on Xbox, computer, and Wii. And around 8-ish, we'll do showers. And then around 9, the little boys go to bed, and the rest of us can stay up till 10.
I like how the rooms are upstairs because the teenagers are with the teen, and then the little boys are with the little boys. And I like my roommates are Charlie and Malcolm, and they're like my best friends, and we have a good time.
One thing I do not like about them, they are a little bit too messy.
Character development is like teaching us about character, like peace, justice, respect, and things like that. It teaches us like people who did justice.
What do you think of Patrick Henry? What type of place is it?
I think it's good for kids to go. It's fun here. We do a lot of stuff.
You have like chores that you need to do around the house, and you need to do your own laundry, and it's kind of more fun because you go more places.
I learned how to start talking and stuff, because when I first came here, I was really shy. And my grades got better, yeah, and it changed my life around.
My colleagues in the media, we occasionally talk when we show up to cover different stories. And after you were sentenced, we were talking outside waiting for you and your family to come out. And a lot of them were talking about the 3 charges of forgery and fraud, if you will. And they said, well, maybe Sheriff Watson was on to something if you were found guilty of those 3, and that maybe even the jury understood Watson's role, and that's why some of the 17 were thrown out. So for those who are watching today, we've gotten calls about people who are saying, well, he must have done something. He was found guilty by the jury that you just mentioned. How would you respond to that? And on sidebar, people say, Dr. Whitaker doesn't deserve this. he should try something else, maybe become a civil rights activist, and just get away from, quote unquote, the dirty politics?
Yeah, well, first of all, I know the comment you're making. I think that was Andy Fox that made the comment. Well, the sheriff must have been on to something. Well, see, I thought that we were under a constitutional government system. I didn't know that you can act outside of due process, just do whatever you want to do because you're on to something. You know, I didn't know the police can just walk up to your window and look inside and they see some illegal activity going on and search your property. I thought there's procedures you have to follow, due process. And so when you say you're on to something, I don't know what that means. So there are cases where the police may have been on to something, but just because they are, that doesn't mean that the procedure is right. And in our case, I don't know what he would have been on to, because there were no illegal activities that took place for him to be on to something. And also, I didn't know that sheriffs were in the business of investigating churches. It's interesting he was not on to Mayor Rowe when Mayor Rowe was city manager and was double dipping. That was public knowledge. It was in the paper. We were informed by Dr. Lydia Patton, when she was as her role as city manager, that he was double dipping.
For my viewing audience, define double dipping.
That's when you are receiving your full-time pay as well as your retirement pay. I didn't see any investigation by the sheriff office of that, which was public knowledge. To get to New Bethel Baptist Church, they had to leap over a whole lot of churches. All of this child abuse going on in the Catholic Church. I didn't see them investigating any Catholic diocese here in Portsmouth. Were they on to something? Is that they weren't on to something? Steve Heretic and all of these settled claims issues that poor folks have complained about. I never saw them investigate that. The whole issue with public officials tied to contracts, I've never seen them on to that. And so this whole notion of on to something, I don't know what they would be on to over here in a church that is operating under the guise of the federal law and doing what we had been authorized to do. It was purely his way of using his political power in his office. And sadly, Stephanie Morales allowed for her office to be used for political gain as a means of attacking and trying to silence my voice.
Welcome home. Time goes by, that's for sure, that no one can deny, and we've been apart, so welcome home. Here I am, I was lost, but I'm found, and I turn around, so you're welcome home, welcome home.
Along with my colleagues, we take care of women who are pregnant, get them through their pregnancy and deliveries, and then also provide gynecologic care. Of course, delivering babies is very rewarding, and to see a happy couple after the delivery of a child is certainly very rewarding. I've actually been practicing since 1986 as an obstetrician gynecologist. I find working at Johnson Health Center very rewarding. I have very good staff. We're growing, and that's, I think, one of the most encouraging things is that we're a growing practice. And I enjoy the relationships I develop with patients. That's been very special to me through the years. I do see these children come back, since we're right next door to the pediatric facility, that to see the mother and oftentimes the children that I've delivered. It is very special.
For those who say you should try something else, maybe be a community activist, civil rights leader, and that you need to get away from quote-unquote the dirty politics, which is a question that people called in and mentioned. I said I would ask Dr. Whitaker when I get in front of him.
Well, politics aren't dirty. It's the people who make it dirty. I think that trying to help people is a noble cause. And I believe that we need to have voices like mine who are not ashamed or have not sold out, who are not in the pockets of others, who can think independently, but at the same time recognize humanity, you see, and knowing that the decisions you make impact on the lives of others. And council sets policies and regulations for the city, and there are major business that's going on that I think we need to have a strong voice to, and I don't mind the Lord using me to do that.
Okay. Moving forward, Dr. Whitaker, let's talk about your plan to continue to serve on City Council. The election is underway. When we were covering the press conference after your sentencing, we were told that as soon as you would be sentenced and receive the penalty, if you will, that you would be removed from City Council. That's why in that press conference I asked that question,
Right.
versus suspension or whatever. And when we looked, that same day, they had a flyer ready. They removed your name from public documents online as a member of City Council. Moving forward, your name is still on the ballot,
Right.
and you've made it clear that you want to return to the seat. How can that happen?
Yeah, as far as all the little petty things they've done, taking my seat away, taking my bio off of the city website, those things just show their desire to remove my presence because they know what my presence represents. It's interesting, a suspension, there's no set criteria of what is a suspension as far as what's the protocol. And so I'll let them play those little petty games like that. As far as moving forward, which I am, and I want to let you know, the community is energized and excited about the fact that my votes, a vote for me will be counted. Because my name is on the ballot, it is important that viewers understand this, that because my name is on the ballot, if you vote for me, the vote has to be counted by state law. It has to be counted. If I finish in the top 3, because there are 3 seats for city council, if I finish in the top 3, then because I am a disqualified candidate, it doesn't stop the vote from being counted. However, the seat would be declared vacant. It would not go to the 4th place finisher. The seat would be declared vacant, and then there would be a special election. And by the time the special election comes around next year, my rights would have been restored, which means that I would be a qualified candidate to run for that seat. It is important that we hold on to that seat to make sure that we have a voice there that's going to address the issues that will help Portsmouth to move in a progressive manner, where not just a certain segment of the community benefits, but the community can begin to rise together.
You know, we interviewed Mayor Rowe, and he did not want to give a public comment about your case moving forward, how will they fill the seat, what is yet to come. And he told us in the media, hey, you guys go check the state code. And I pressed him. I said, can you give the community just one response concerning Dr. Whitaker, those who may be wondering and concerned? And he walked away from the camera. Is there anything in place that would help make sure that that would happen for you? Because some say we are entering, uncharted territory. Some people say we've never seen this situation before. So when there's a new situation, something that has never been exposed to the community, sometimes when it comes to elections, Dr. Whitaker, and the process, all kinds of crazy things happen.
Right.
So people could vote for you and follow the lead in terms of a potential special election. But who knows what's really going to happen because this is all so unknown.
Right. Well, all elections, there's always an element of uncertainty in any election. What I appreciate with your show is that it gives an opportunity to educate our community because the people have known me all these years. They've kept me in public office since 2002 because they know what I stand for. I think where they have been confused is that there has been misinformation being put out by certain organizations telling them that the vote will not count. What we need to make sure is that the message is crystal clear. My name is on the ballot. If you vote for me, that vote must be counted. If I finish in the top 3, then that seat that I won would be declared vacant, and there would have to be a special election. And by the time of the special election next year, my rights would have been restored, and the community can once again put me into the seat that I have represented for them since 2002 on the school board, and since coming on city council, a seat that speaks to social and economic justice. And that's what we need to make sure that our people understand. Don't listen to the misinformation, because there's a purpose that the misinformation is going out. That is because they're trying to silence voices like mine. But I believe if our ministers, our pastors, our community leaders would get around the misinformation and understand that it is a 3-step clear process. Vote for me. If I finish in the top 3, then the seat will be declared vacant. Special election, and we can hold on to that seat through a special election.
Dr. Whitaker will rejoin us in just a few moments. After a commercial break, we'll take you to the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Steering Committee as they endorse Dr. Whitaker.
Meet the redesigned 2019 Volkswagen Jetta. How redesigned? It's practically reinvented. Stylish exterior design with more body lines and creases. It's sportier and sleeker. An interior with comfort and style. That commute isn't so bad now, is in a standard turbocharged engine that runs on regular gasoline. Plus, most Volkswagen models come with the People First warranty. 6 years, 72,000 miles, bumper to bumper coverage. Lease the all-new 2019 Jetta for $189 a month. Terry Volkswagen, you'll love our cars.
Ready for life's next chapter? Retire to a community that will give you time to discover, time to play 9 or 18, time to plant and grow, time to channel your inner Picasso or inner peace. Discover how far you can swim or stroll. Retirement should be a time of discovery and fulfillment. Find out more about how Westminster Canterbury can help.
Good morning, everyone. I am Milton Blunt, the senior pastor of the New Mount Olivet Baptist Church here in the city of Portsmouth. I'm also the president of the Martin Luther King Jr. Leadership Steering Committee. I'm delighted and happy to be able to stand before you on this morning with persons from our committee as well as pastors from throughout our city, and we're here in support of Dr. Mark Whitaker. As we stand before you, our purpose today, as we stand on behalf of Dr. Mark Whitaker, to announce our endorsement of him. There's no question about the fact that Dr. Whitaker has stood with the community of Portsmouth as he has been an advocate for education, economic development, and safe communities here in the city of Portsmouth. Today we want to say to all of Portsmouth, that we, the Martin Luther King Jr. Leadership Steering Committee, as well as the Coalition of Pastors here in the city of Portsmouth, strongly endorse Dr. Mark Whitaker. On November the 6th, 2018, his name will appear on the ballot for election to the Portsmouth City Council. We are asking our community to vote yes for Dr. Whitaker as they vote yes for Mr. Paul Batter and Mr. Shining Glover. Dr. Whitaker has stood up for Portsmouth. He has stood with each of us throughout our community, and now we want to stand with him, and we want to make it known throughout this community, throughout this city, throughout this region that we're standing with Dr. Mark Whitaker. With that said, at this time, if there are one or two questions that you wish to ask, we will take your questions. Yes.
My main question is just about the legality of, the vote, are you concerned at all that people might accidentally vote?
Well, first of all, the question of the legality is not for us to answer as much as the reality is we don't believe that if you vote for Dr. Whitaker, it's going to be a wasted vote. His name is on the ballot, and according to the codes of Virginia, that vote will count towards Dr. Mark Whitaker. And so we're encouraging our community, city to vote Dr. Mark Whitaker on November the 6th. Well, we have but one objective, and that is to see to it that Dr. Whitaker is one of the top vote getters come November the 6th for the race of city council here in the city of Portsmouth. And so in terms of frustration and reaching out to the state board of election, that's not a concern for us at this point. We want to support him. We want the community to know that we're supporting him, and we want to encourage every voter in the city of Portsmouth to vote yes, to check yes next to the name of Dr. Mark Whitaker on November the 6th. Yes.
Have you all discussed any process, what the plan is if he is one of the top 3 vote getters, how we move forward from there since his rights have not been restored yet?
We have had discussion. However, I don't think that this setting, this moment, is an appropriate time for us to discuss the processes. What we want to raise and encourage is our people, our community, the people of Portsmouth, that they would get out and vote on November the 6th and vote for Dr. Mark Whitaker. And I believe that we can ensure, based upon the vote that is rendered for Dr. Whitaker, that he is one of the top vote getters and that he will finish in the top tier, top 3 in terms of vote getters here in the city of Portsmouth for this Portsmouth City Council election. And so that is our focus, that's our conversation, that's our concern, that's our motivation, that's our drive. And so we're pushing our community to vote Dr. Mark Whitaker on November the 6th, and to know that to vote for Dr. Whitaker, it is not a wasted vote, but a vote that will count according to the codes of Virginia. With that said, let me just allow Dr. Ken Chandler Crowder to come and just share a few words. He represents the AME Zion Church in our region, and certainly he wants to add to this conversation. Yes.
What is the group's plan to get the minority, the black vote out? A lot of people are saying that we as black people don't go to the polls, around the midterms. What's the plan to get the black vote out? On sidebar, what took you guys so long to come out? Some people say you should have done this weeks before.
Well, in regards to the timing of our coming out, I think that this moment is a good moment for us. And it's certainly an opportunity for us to share with our community and encourage our community to vote, in that we're so close to the election that is scheduled for November the 6th. In addition to that, every medium possible that's available to us, we will use to encourage the African American community to come out and vote on November the 6th, as well as the larger community to come and vote on November the 6th, and to cast a vote for Dr. Mark Whitaker. Every vote will count according to the codes of Virginia. And so it's not a wasted vote. we want you to vote for Dr. Mark Whitaker. And so we're doing what we're doing now, and there are other mediums that we're using in terms of getting the word out and encouraging our community to vote. Before Dr. Crowder comes, let me also say this here, that not only has Dr. Whitaker received the endorsement of the Martin Luther King Jr. Leadership Steering Committee and the coalition of pastors in this city, but he's also received the endorsement from the Portsmouth Eureka Club and from other groups, teachers groups, and other entities or institutions in the city of Portsmouth. Because we know that the voice of Dr. Mark Whitaker, I mean, he has spoke up for this city, he has spoke up for this community, he has stood tall, and we want to stand with him. We want to encourage him as he pushes forward, and we know it may be an uphill climb, but we're committed to doing everything we can do within our power to ensure that he's one of the top vote getters come November the 6th. Dr. Crowder?
Thank you, and good morning. I am Kenneth W. Crowder, the presiding elder of the Norfolk District of the African Methodist Episcopal Zion Church. And I am here this morning to lend my support to Dr. Whitaker and his efforts to be a city council person here in the city of Portsmouth, as a business person here in Portsmouth. And I fully endorse him as a business owner here in the city of Portsmouth. And I stand behind his campaign. And we realize that we as the churches cannot endorse, but my personal endorsement as the leader of those 16 churches goes out to Dr. Whitaker in his efforts to continue to be a voice for all people here in the city of Portsmouth as a council person. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And so obviously when you see the number of pastors that are here, the leaders of our various civic leagues and community groups that are here, well over 25 to 30,000 people in the city of Portsmouth are represented by the number of persons who are here right now. And so we will use all of our influence, we will do all that we can do to encourage our people, our community, our city to vote for Dr. Mark Whitaker on November the 6th.
Is it possible to hear from Dr. Mark Whitaker just about what you feel about the support and why you feel that you are ready to serve?
First of all, I want to say good morning, and truly I want to thank all of the Martin Luther King Steering Committee members, as well as the clergy that has surrounded us today. We love what our clergy has represented to us and what they stand for in our community. And so I feel grateful and thankful. We are energized, we are excited about the fact that my name is on the ballot and that the votes will be counted. And we have tremendous support from our community. As you can see standing here today, we have senior pastors from not only Portsmouth, but from around the Hampton Roads area, because our family has been a pillar in this community, and we have stood for what is right and what is just. And so we're just asking the community to continue to stand with us as we have stood for you. And so we thank everyone for their support and their outreach and the love that has been shown to our family and to me, and the encouragement. And we're looking forward to November the 6th for our citizens to recognize that my name is on the ballot and that the vote will be counted. Thank you.
Do you feel confident in the number of people who will come out and vote for you?
Well, I feel confident that our citizens are always responsible.
Dr. Whitaker, what will council be like without a Dr. Mark Whitaker? What will they miss without your voice? I heard you talk about that.
Well, I think the fact that you see so much support from the clergy and community, they know that my voice has been one that has stood for social and economic justice, and we want to make sure that that is always well represented, particularly in a city such as Portsmouth. And so my seat and my voice is of utmost importance, and we look forward to having that voice to stay.
Thank you so very much. And finally, in regards to the question that was raised earlier, in terms of getting the word out, encouraging the African American community as well as the large community to get out and vote, one of the things that's going to happen, if you want to really measure the excitement and the energy that's surrounding Dr. Whitaker and this electoral process that's coming up on November the 6th, is there's going to be a rally on next Tuesday evening at 6:30, which is the 30th of the month, where people from throughout this community, throughout this city of Portsmouth, every community in the city of Portsmouth will be represented at that rally, in which they will make their voices known and their energy known in support of Dr. Whitaker. Thank you so very, very much for your time, and we look forward to a successful outcome. Thank you.
It's time for us to take another commercial break. When we return, I will continue our one-on-one interview with Dr. Mark Whitaker. Stay tuned. Conversations continues in a moment.
Bedford Community Health Center, a division of Johnson Health Center, has renovated and expanded their office next to Peebles in the town of Bedford. Services include pediatric and adult primary care, mental health, OBGYN, and dental. Open Monday through Thursday, 7:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Friday, 7:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. All insurances are accepted and a reduced fee is offered to uninsured. New patients are welcome.
Hospice is a Medicare benefit that is 100% covered, no cost to the patient or their family. Senior Independence is the home health and hospice program that Westminster Canterbury started to extend their quality of services out into the community. Our hospice care offers a gift to the patient and their families, and it's a gift of peace, a gift of comfort, and a gift of love.
Learn more about Senior Independence at sihomecare.org.
Are you an experienced automotive sales professional? Are the top performers at your store earning up to $150,000 a year? First Team is consistently one of the top 10 new car dealers in Virginia, and we're growing again. Our Subaru sales are up 18%, VW sales up 20%, Nissan sales up 23%. We need experienced sales staff now. With over 900 new and used vehicles, First Team has the inventory and pay plan to make you succeed in a fast-paced, fun working environment. Don't miss this incredible opportunity. Apply online today at firstteamautomall.com.
You know, we spoke to one of your attorneys, John Babineau, and he talked about your case and your situation, because it wasn't a violent situation. You've got no priors, and that this is going to be an easy process in terms of restoring your rights. Can you speak to that for, again, the community who say, well, he's a convicted felon, his rights will not be restored?
Yeah, as far as the concern about my rights being restored, first of all, there is a process which I have already applied. That process involves the applications for the restoration of rights. That is moved forward, and it usually takes about, what I've told, 3 to 4 weeks for that process to be completed. And there was a set of applications that were sent out after my trial, which my application was not a part of at that time. Since then, I have applied. And so now that my application is part of a batch that either has already gone out or is about to go out, that batch will be approved in about a 3 to 4 week time period from what I was told by those in the Secretary of the Commonwealth's office, as far as the time that it takes for those applications to be processed. So my rights would be restored probably sometime in November, December at the latest, which would put me well ahead of the time period to make me a qualified candidate. I think people need to also understand that there has been a tremendous effort by others to label me as a felon. Our community should not allow for a process such as this to use a label against me that does not define who I am. That's a wrongful conviction that took place. We're appealing it. Hopefully it'll be overturned. But in the final analysis, the community knows who did this. They know it was a sheriff who already had a political agenda against both Mayor Wright and myself. And the black community should not be fooled into thinking that when you see these type of practices used, we can't allow those practices to impact how we view one another and embrace. If we did, we would be giving legitimacy to what the sheriff did to me through seeking the prosecution, his entire department that participated in this. And so we have to make sure that we don't legitimize this illicit process that took place to get me criminalized. They sought to criminalize me by any means necessary. And we must be conscious of that and not abandon, but stand up in support and say, we will not allow this type of injustice. We have to do just like Washington, D.C. did with Marion Barry. They surrounded him. But in this case, I did not commit the crime that they're saying. But they stood, we got to stand just like Harlem stood with Adam Clayton Powell. When they tried to put Powell out of Congress, and Harlem sent him right back because they said he's ours, and we define who we love and embrace. We must have that same mentality in Portsmouth and get beyond allowing others to define people who have worked and fought and spoken and stood up for us. And that's what I represent.
Any word to the non-African American community concerning the battles and the things that you stood up for?
I think the word to them is the same word that King spoke in his letter from the Birmingham jail. In King's letter from the Birmingham jail, King was very critical of the white community, particularly the white clergy, because there ought to be a moral stance that we take that transcends politics, because our humanity and morality should be more than politics. And so if I see my brother over there suffering in an injustice, I shouldn't let race and politics determine how I address it. But because of the humanity of that person, I address it. King said in the letter from the Birmingham jail that not only will we remember our oppressor, but he mentions about we will remember the silence, those who did not speak. And I think too many times the white community hides behind its white privilege, and it allows it to be blind to the injustices of our community. And so we're easy to write it off as just racist, where we need to be making a moral stand. And the white community has a level of morality that it must live up to, just as the black community and any community. Because I can tell you, when one suffers, all of us suffer. You may not realize it, but it takes consciousness to sit back and watch someone be persecuted and not do anything. That speaks to a lack of spirit and humanity within that person. And so to the white community and to all communities, we have a duty to do justice, love mercy, and walk humbly. Now, will we do that? Or will we allow race and politics, power and greed to be the agenda of our day? And I can tell you, if we do, the issue is much larger than Mark Whitaker. The issue is about justice. Because regardless of what happens in my situation, justice is going to go forward. Either you're going to be on the right side of history or the wrong side of history. The truth can never be denied. And so we have a responsibility to speak truth to power. Which communities will do that? Which individuals will do that? I pray that that is a spirit throughout this city, And then if we really want to see a new Portsmouth, it has to begin with a transformation of looking at how we treat each other. Do you see me as a human? Or do you see me as an object? And when we start seeing each other as brothers and sisters, that transcends race, because I care about you and you ought to care about me. And I think people who know me, grew up with me, I went to Manor High School. Manor High School, you had, what, about 60% black, 40% white? Hey, my class is the first class in the country that graduated in 1983 to go from kindergarten all the way through high school in an integrated school district. You can talk to any of my classmates because they elected me as president of the student government my senior year. And they'll tell you that I was fair to black students, white students, that there was no mistreatment based on race. You can talk to students I went to school with at Virginia Tech. Even though I was speaking on issues, those students would have to tell you, because I used to eat lunch with black and white students, you see. And so this whole labeling of me is by people who don't really know me. And it makes it appear that I'm out here on an island, but really the truth is something that is embraced by many. And I will continue to speak it.
Looking for a great deal on your next pre-owned? At the Terry Auto Outlet, we have over 400 vehicles available. And we shop the competition in a 200-mile radius to ensure you get the best deal around. Terry Auto Outlet, you'll love our cars.
Ever check out the finance charges at some furniture stores and rent-to-own stores? Unbelievable. But believe this, Schul's in-store financing saves you more. It's true. Do the math. When you sign a contract to buy a $1,000 living room at some other places, you pay a huge rental premium, one that could be as much as your purchase amount with a high monthly payment. But with Schul's in-store financing, your finance charge is lower, way lower, and so is your monthly payment. So don't pay more, save more with in-store financing from Schul's.
Looking for a reliable, pre-owned vehicle? At the Terry Clearance Center, we used to wholesale these vehicles to other dealers, but now we cut out the middleman and pass the savings right to you. Most cars are under 10 grand, some are as low as $39.95. Terry Clearance Center, you'll love our cars.
You know, Dr. Whitaker, we all have our critics. You know, I've been on television 30 years. And nobody beats up television people like they beat up Andre Whitehead. But people have criticized Dr. Mark Whitaker. They've said, well, Dr. Whitaker doesn't stand for the flag during city council meetings, and what a horrible message he's sending to our young people. They said that Dr. Whitaker is an angry black man, and he is deserving all that he is getting. Critics of Dr. Mark Whitaker.
Well, even Jesus had critics. And I think whenever you step out, you're going to always have critics. That's why you have to be sure of who you are and whose you are. Now, I think it was James Baldwin, one of our noted civil rights leaders. James Baldwin said, if you are a conscious black man in America, you can't help but be aggravated.
You should be mad.
Yeah. And so, but it's not a madness that they try to equate it to. It's an issue that you refuse to be co-opted into a system that reduces you to less than being a human. I refuse. My grandfather that I told you about from the beginning didn't have any of the rights or education that I've been privileged to get. But he stood. He stood. And I think that is, and I always view that the ancestors are looking over at us from the bounds of glory. And I see them cheering me on, saying, go ahead on, boy, keep standing. You're on the right track. Don't worry about what folks say, because they talked about us. But we got to learn how to keep pressing on. So I don't, matter of fact, I judge sometimes my success on who my critics are. Because I certainly don't want the Ku Klux Klan saying, Whitaker's doing a great job. I must not be doing anything. I don't even want people for Portsmouth praising me. Okay? And so there are some critics that I expect because of the issues I deal with, and they don't want to deal with the truth. See, that's the thing. They want to reduce it to just sprouting off, not standing for the flag. And it's interesting, I thought I had a constitutional freedom of speech. And this country was founded on protests. And I'm not hiding who I am. And I think that there are some people within this city that don't like what's going on in this government and are protesting. I don't see them criticizing the Tea Party, the Boston Tea Party. Matter of fact, some of them disguise themselves as Native Americans instead of standing out there bravely. I don't hear them saying, well, you know, they should have bowed to the British flag. I don't hear that. The monument that's in the middle of our city, I think I'm right on track with that. I was speaking out against that before you even saw the conversation that's happening now in this area.
Across the nation.
Yeah. That monument is a reflection of treason and terror. Those men, had their battle been successful, would have kept me in a second-class citizenship with no humanity. It upheld the rape, the lynching, the killing, the separation of families. That's what it represents to us. And so I'm not going to, if the Confederate monument can stand for injustice, I can certainly sit for justice.
Okay. Also, people have criticized Dr. Mark Whitaker, saying that he is unworkable and will not come together with City Council, and they were mainly speaking about the retreat that you decided not to attend. Working with your fellow council members.
Yeah, I think the measure of that is how you vote. A retreat, I don't know what objectives come out of it. There's no voting or objectives that come out of a retreat. And also, I'm very careful about being co-opted into a certain way of thinking and buying into. And that's what the retreat was doing. Look, people don't vote for us on council as a group. They vote us as individuals. I've never run on a platform that when I run for council, I'm going to go along, and see, they need to define what you mean by get along, because see, get along probably means that you're just going to rubber stamp what the others are doing, and I'm not going to do that. And my time is valuable, and I don't have a lot of time to sit around discussing things, trying to make it appear that there are legitimate issues being discussed. A lot of this stuff is just a lot of camouflage for the public. There are no substantive issues that really come up. We are required to meet by law, and I attend those meetings. And I was not going to go and sit under a retreat on a Saturday, Friday. I can be with my family over listening to some irrelevant information that I can get at a council meeting. Why we got to go way out to Windsor? Okay? I'm not going to do that. And I was not about to sit under that type of environment. And I don't think I missed anything because I still voted on the issues. We were informed on the issues. And so that's not the measure of the effectiveness of my being in office. I've seen council members miss a lot of meetings. I don't hear people complaining about that. But when I miss one retreat or two, it becomes an issue. And you can go check the record. It's on record. Look at meetings that council members have missed. I don't hear citizens raise it. But when Mark Whitaker does it, now it becomes an issue. The truth will set you free.
We the people. We are innovators, dreamers, leaders. Yeah, we feel pain. we get tired. But it won't stop us. God's call is our pursuit, and we will champion His name.
My name is Sterling Harrison. I'm the general manager at Kinetics Health Club in Lynchburg. We're located at 6015 Ford Avenue, Suite 24. This is a fantastic gym. We welcome all people. We offer a variety of different things, including 24/7 access, free group fitness classes, free daycare, personal training, hydro massage beds. You are watching Conversations with Andre Whitehead.
Dr. Whitaker, I want to thank you for this opportunity, and we have devoted a lot of time to getting this story out because so many people have called with great interest, local, regional, and even on the national level. So thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you.
And taking all of our questions, which some will see as difficult. I'm sure I'll get criticized. But as we exit, what would be some of the final words that you want to leave our listening and viewing audience with today?
Yeah, I want to thank you for the opportunity to be on the show. The Martin Luther King Steering Committee has endorsed me, which I think is a major endorsement. I understand I just found out the Eureka Club is also standing behind me, one of our very powerful, supportive organizations in the city. They are standing with me. The Martin Luther King Steering Committee is planning a rally on October the 30th at New Mount Olivet Baptist Church on County Street. We'll be having a rally for the Martin Luther King Steering Committee candidates, a community unity rally, and I believe that's at 6:30 at New Mount Olivet Baptist Church. So hope to see you there. And once again, I just want to share with your listeners that I have always been committed to social justice. Social justice transcends race. Social justice is about equity and equality, lifting us together. The chain is no more stronger than its weakest link. And so if I address the weakness, I'm strengthening the chain. And so I'm committed to still speaking on issues of economic, social justice for our community. So much so that I'm encouraging and I'm excited from what I'm hearing that persons recognizing that a vote for me will count. And so we're encouraging those that are listening to share with your friends, to vote, and if you decide to vote for me, it will be counted. And if I finish in the top 3, there will be a special election. By that time, my rights would have been restored, and I can continue to serve you with the same fervor and excellency and consciousness that I have always served, because I recognize who I am and whose I am. And so I want to thank you.
Well, that's the broadcast for today. We want to thank everyone for tuning in, and we've presented the story of Dr. Mark Whitaker because so many people had questions and concern about this situation. And even when we talked to the Virginia Department of Elections, even they admitted they had never heard of a situation like this. So if you have any questions for us, be sure to give us a call. Our information is on the screen. And thank you for tuning in to this special feature.